458 kilometers of tarmac road per county. I want to ask the minister to tell us how many kilometers of roads that are supposed to be tarmacked in Tana River out of 442 kilometers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable CS.
Mr. Speaker, if my friend Honourable Chute had applied himself to the question, he would understand that I was answering a question. And the question was, could the Cabinet Secretary state the distance in kilometers of tarmac roads national government has constructed, and then list the ones in Tana River? So had I not done so, Mr. Speaker, I would not have been responsive to the question. What I understand the Honourable Senator to be saying is that, Mr. Speaker, which if he followed also my response, he would appreciate, is that you cannot say 442 kilometers, even if equally distributed would have been assumed to be a share of Tana River, is a fair distribution. And I've said that the principle of equity demands that you treat every area differently. And the northern part of the country, you must be treated as per distance. So, Speaker, let me say this. I sat in this House for months, for weeks, for days, discussing about county allocation of revenue formula. A very, very passionate debate that we had in this House. And Mr. Speaker, there were those who were saying that you don't discuss about distance of counties when you are allocating resources. But Mr. Speaker, if you don't discuss distance, then those counties will never get roads. Because it means that you will say, since the population is small, from one position to another, let that 2-3 people walk as others are using tarmac road. I believe then, and I believe it even more now, that, Mr. Speaker, the only way you can unlock the potential of a country like ours, and for regions, Mr. Speaker, like the North, with enormous resources, with potential, Mr. Speaker, in terms of development, is, Mr. Speaker, infrastructure is the only answer. There is nothing that can answer the problem of the North except infrastructure. If we do and construct good roads across the northern part of the country, all this population that we are bragging about, that we are many in the other parts of the country, will move to the north, Mr. Speaker, will establish businesses in the north. If you go to other parts of the world, a desert like Dubai, Mr. Speaker, Dubai is a desert for all intents and purposes. But the people of that country and leadership decided that we want to develop this area to be what it is. If we decide to develop Isiolo today, Mr. Speaker, make sure that the airport is working well, the roads are connected, all this population, all these people who are saying we are many will move there. And suddenly, Mr. Speaker, we will have a greater development in that area. So, Honourable Chute, my job for now, as a CS of Roads and Transport, is to make sure that I unlock the potential that exists in your county and others in the north, so that then the rest of the country can benefit from the potential that is in those areas. And we correct the history of the sessional paper number 10 of 1965 that said that high potential areas were only areas that were in particular regions, Mr. Speaker, and not in others. I thank you.
Senator Veronica.
Honourable CS, I want to welcome you back to Senate, albeit in a different capacity, and we hope that you're burning the midnight oil to ensure that all counties are well serviced and resourced in terms of infrastructure. Honourable CS, my question is relating to the Mau Mau Road, which cuts across Kiambu, Murang'a, Nyeri, and a big portion of the central region. And before I go there, Honourable CS, I don't want to condense this question with another one, but I sense the need for your ministry to work very closely with the Ministry of Agriculture, in ensuring that the food basket counties have sufficient network which can then bring the produce of food from their counties during the years of plenty, so that Kenyans can stop having years of scarcity. But that said, I'm wondering how long it will take for the ministry to complete the Mau Mau Road that is cutting across those several counties within the central region, and why it has taken so long to complete. And I know Senator Mugatana has helped us in asking these questions by saying that treatment for malaria must be treated separately from treatment for heart attacks, and each will need to be sufficiently addressed so that the needs of the Kenyan people can be met. So, CS, when do we wait to get this network complete, road network complete? And you remember very well, when you were in Kandara constituency just the other day, the by-election for Kandara, one of the promises we were giving to the people in Kandara who are near Kegumo, Kandara, that area, was about the completion of this road network.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my friend, Senator Veronica, for this question. Mr. Speaker, it speaks to the core issue of pending bills and roads that are pending. I don't know if he was insinuating that in Honorable Mugatana's analogy, the Kandara Mau roads were the malaria. The one for Tana River is the heart attack. But, Mr. Speaker, true. I want to correct an impression that might easily be created about the roads that have not been constructed, that have been pending. Most of those roads, including the Mau roads, have been pending for over 2 years. Mau roads were started like 3 years ago, and barely 10% did not even start. The machines, they went there, started opening, and nothing was done. So these roads have been pending way before the election of Kenya Kwanza administration. So these roads have historical problems of neglect, because they were done, and sometimes you ask yourself whether procurement rules were followed, because the procurement law requires that before you tender for a road or any project, you must have a budget for the entire resources. So of course, perhaps there was a budget, but the budget was diverted to other things. And I don't want to be very political here, but a lot of it was diverted for the last 2-3 years to do things that were not core mandate of the government as per its own budget. So we are inheriting, and I can tell you, Honorable Veronica Minor, that some of the roads have been pending from 2015, 2016. If you go to Tarakaniti, for example, there's a road called Chakarika Marimanti, which has been pending from 2015, 2016. A number of roads you saw a road that is in Nyandarua. We were there the other day, and people were asking, why are we relaunching a road that was launched in 2016, 2017? Because it was launched and then left. No money was given. So a number of those roads have absolutely nothing. I have seen some politicians who want to ride on these things to say, oh, this government is leaving our roads, they're not doing our roads. They should go back first to the history and ask themselves, these roads have been pending since when? They have been there 5, 6, 7 years. On average, all the pending roads are 4 to 5 years, average. Some extreme are 8 to 9. As I said, it is not for me to write another book of lamentation. So it's for us to resolve the problem. And we promise as a government, both in our manifesto, but also in our utterances, that we are going to make sure that all the pending roads are completed. And I said that we will not start new roads until we complete the pending roads. I also added that if we have to start new roads, it will be the ones we have discussed with our development partners, where they're giving us concessional support to build those roads. That's why my meetings with leaders always helped us also identify key critical counties and counties that never were considered for construction of roads, so that when we get concessional funding and support from development partners, we can channel them to the ones that have absolutely no new road. And then the ones that have pending roads, like you've said, Muranga, Kiambu. I was in Kiambu the other day. I was in Katundu South. And the contractor has been there forever. Although it's a special case, the contractor is incompetent. because we don't have a pending certificate from him. So we are working on road-by-road basis, but I can assure you our dream is that in the next 3 years, we should complete all the pending roads. But let me also warn us here that the government as a whole has found itself with a challenge, and that challenge is for debt. There was unregulated borrowing that went into the last 2-3 years that has left a huge pending bill. And the president and government made a decision that if you find yourself in a hole, you don't keep digging. First of all, we pause, we look for ingenious ways of resolving these problems. As I said, we're speaking to development partners, we're speaking to our friends. We want to see if we can get more concessional support than this borrowing from the market that is on a market rate. It's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be supported by our debt ceiling at the moment. But rest assured, we will complete all the pending roads. I want to ask for patience, for you to help us tell your constituents. There is no point in planting bananas on those roads. The Speaker, we appreciate food security. It's very important. But let's plant the bananas where they're supposed to be planted. We will construct the roads as soon as we have the resources. The unfortunate situation is that we can't put also the same Kenyans in a problem just to solve another problem. And therefore, we want to be responsible citizens by building the roads progressively while we solve the question of national debt and the economy. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Margaret Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I join my colleagues in welcoming our former senator to the Senate. I think he's doing very well in the roads.
This is in conjunction with the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit. A lot has been lined up before the Senate this afternoon for members of the Senate to consider this morning. It is a full entry order paper for members of the Senate to consider various business that has been listed in the order paper. In the priority this morning, the doping menace threatening Kenya's impeccable global reputation in athletics is a motion by Senator Samson Cherargei that aware that in 2018, Kenya was placed under a category A, and this is by the World Anti-Doping Agency. And since then, 40 Kenyan athletes have been banned by either the Athletics Integrity Unit, popularly known as AIU, as well as the Anti-Doping Agency of Kenya, popularly known as ADAC. And that has led to a situation whereby the Kenyan athletes have to undergo intense testing before participating in major events. And this has also immensely affected the reputation of Kenyan athletes and the standing of Kenya in the international sports arena, where it currently ranked at number 5, and concerned that despite the high number of the alleged doping cases in Kenya, only one World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, approved the blood testing laboratory, and this forcing it to send urine test in Qatar as well as South Africa. And this is for matters analysis, and that the Anti-Doping Agency is taking too long to address the doping menace, which is likely to affect the state of preparedness for athletes in the upcoming 2024 Olympics Games in Paris. The Senator for Nandi County in this particular motion seeks to have the Senate resolve that the Minister of Youth, Sports and Arts do come up with modalities that can help achieve increased testing intelligence and gathering on matters to do with athletes and doping awareness of programs. In collaboration with Athletics Kenya and the National Olympic Committee, popularly known as NOC, do vet all training camps, coaches, trainers, and other athlete handlers. The Ministry of Sports, in collaboration with the Directorate of Criminal Investigation and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, do finalize pending investigations as well as recommend prosecution of individuals involved in giving these banned substances to athletes. And also in collaboration with the Ministry of Health, do identify and revoke licenses for medics, pharmacies, as well as hospitals responsible for the prescription of the commonly abused drugs by athletes. The business of the Senate is just about to commence. I now hand you over for the live broadcast. Enjoy your viewing.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Clerk, do we have a quorum? Sergeant at times can ring the bell for 10 minutes.
The Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Kingi, currently presiding over the business of the Senate this morning, has directed the Sergeant-at-Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes. And this particular directive is guided by the standing orders of the House that gives the Speaker powers to direct that quorum bell is rung for 10 minutes and a further 5 minutes to allow for the House to raise quorum for the senators or for the Senate to transact business this morning. Let's keep having a look at the order paper this morning to get to understand what members of the Senate will be deliberating on this morning. And we have also a motion by nominated Senator Gloria Orwoba on the provision of free sanitary towels to end period poverty, being a motion that senators are also set to consider this morning. In this particular motion, the Senate, or the nominated senator seeks to have the Senate resolve that the Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, in partnership with the Ministry of Education and the Council of Governors, do facilitate the provision of feminine hygiene products in all public schools. That the trio also ensures that all schools that do not have bathrooms that facilitate privacy, cleanliness, and proper disposal of hygiene products are properly equipped. Also, that the Senate resolves that the Ministry of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action, in partnership with the Ministry of Education and the Council of Governors, do create awareness and take advocacy measures on the reproductive health issues related to period poverty, as well as include in the curriculum a dedicated lesson per week to teach girls on menstrual hygiene, as well as ensure that sanitary products will be obtainable in a timely, consistently, and in a way that respects the dignity of the concerned persons. This